Some of you are mad at God, yourself, and the world right now, wondering, asking, crying, because life just feels heavy. I've been talking to so many women, this past month, and it seems like the winter was just very heavy for a lot of people. It's like you can't catch your breath. You're doing everything you know to do, and it still feels like you're just carrying too much. And depending upon where you are, you're either questioning God, blaming yourself, or just sitting there thinking, why does everything feel so hard? But let me tell you what I had to learn literally. And if you know me, it's always the hard way, right? The problem isn't what God gave you, is what you picked up along the way. And I know that it may not feel that way sometimes, but we're going to get into it today. Happy Self Love Sunday. I'm Tarnissha Sass, your host of Self Love Sundays with Sass. I am your certified vision strategist coach who comes every single Sunday to talk about all the ways in which we can better our best. And I am one that is used to carrying everything. I used to carry other people's problems, emotions, responsibilities. I said yes when I wanted to say no so many times because I felt obligated or it was my personal responsibilities. And sometimes it really was a good responsibility, like something I had to do for my children, or when I was married, something I needed to do for my husband, right? I stayed in conversations I should have walked away from. Every argument isn't yours. Everything doesn't deserve your response. And you know what? The hardest thing is I carried guilt that really wasn't even mine. And for some of you, it's not even other people, it's you. You've been putting pressure on yourself. Ask me how I know you've been putting pressure on yourself that nobody asked you to carry because of the way that you were raised or the environment that you were in. Every day I'm hustling, every day I'm hustling, this hustle, 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 grind, grind, grind. And it's a pressure that no one can live up to every single day of their life, holding yourself to standards that don't leave you any room to breathe, trying to get it right, holding it together, and trying not to drop all the balls that you are consistently juggling in the air. And after a while, you wonder why it starts to feel heavy. It's because it is heavy, because you can't carry that much for so long. And then you wonder why you're exhausted, frustrated, resentful, you're snappy, you're moody. Now, some of us ladies that are in our late 40s and 50s, yes, it is perimenopause and our menopause. And some of it is just the total weight of what you've been doing. Some of us have been doing this since we were pre-teens, working. My Gen X's, we've been working since we were teenagers. That really was a thing. And we looked good while we were doing it. And we also learned that strong, capable women don't complain. We have to figure it out. We handle it. I handle my business, right? We handle our business, their business, other people's business, all the business. And then we carry it. We carry other people's problems. We carry other people's emotions. I can't tell you how many women I come across that are anxious, sad, and depressed, not because of them, but because of what is happening with other people around them. They won't even allow themselves to be happy. They have good stuff happening in their lives and won't allow their joy and happiness to come through because somebody else is feeling some kind of way. And I was living that same thing until one day I realized I'm not overwhelmed because life is too much. I was overwhelmed because I wouldn't put anything down. I wouldn't put the things down that didn't belong for me to carry. And I'm going to tell you right now, neither will you. Listen, if you think that carrying everything makes you strong, I'm going to tell you right now, it's the very thing that keeps you stuck. I know we wear it as a badge of honor because we could do all the things for our children, moms, even the ones that's married. I did it when I was married. So this is not about single mothers. Single mothers, yeah, because I've been a single mom too. It's even more. But we wear this as a badge of all the things that we could do for our kids. And I think it's a great thing until it's a breaking thing, until it's breaking your back. But I'm going to tell you today it's time to clean out your wagon. And let me tell you where this came from. I was reading a story, it's this book called Martha and Mary. I can't think of the name of the author, but she talks about a story about a man who was given an assignment by God. God gave him a wagon with 3 stones in it. First of all, he asked God, is there anything I could do for you today? And God said, yes. I need you to take this wagon with these 3 stones up a hill. He gave them very specific instructions on what to do to go up the side of the hill. Very specific. Just take these three stones. It was clear. It was simple. It was, listen, the burden was light, because carrying a wagon, because it is pulling a wagon, it can feel heavy, right? But it was light. So the man starts off happy, he starts off grateful, but along the way, he stops at a village, and he meets a friend. And the friend says to him, hey, how's everything going? He's like, it's going great. God gave me this assignment. I'm taking these three stones up the hill. And the man says, oh my God, I was just praying this morning that I needed to get this stone up the hill, and I didn't know how I was going to do it. And he said, hey, can you take this up for me, because you're going? And the guy said yes, because of course he was happy to help a friend in need. So he placed it in the wagon, and he was like, okay. So he starts pulling the wagon, a little bit heavier, but not too bad. Okay, so then he goes on to the next village, runs into another friend, and he says, hey, how's it going? He said, oh my God, it's great. I'm going up the hill to take these stones. God, gave me this assignment. And he was excited. And the guy said, oh my God, I was praying that somebody take these pebbles up the hill for me. He said, I was going to go, but if you're going, do you mind taking it? So he took the pebbles. He said, they'll fit right here in the middle of the rock. So he put it in. And then, it was a little bit heavier, but he was so happy to do it, because what? I love thy neighbor as I love thyself. I'm going to help a neighbor. I'm going to help someone in need. And so he takes it up the hill. And as he keeps going, he comes across another village, and another and another. And guess what was happening? Every time he stopped, someone else asked him to take everything. And so you keep asking God for something new while holding on to things he already told you to release. So let me tell you why I say that, right? Every time he went up, he added something else. But here's what happened to the man. He got tired. He got frustrated. He got weary. Now he's mad at God. He's like, God, this is too heavy for me. Why would you give me all these burdens? Why would you do this? Why would you do that? And he's upset, angry. And then God appeared before me. He said, hey, what's going on? God don't talk like that. I'm paraphrasing the story. Hey, what's going on? And he was just like, why would you give me this? I can't do this. It's too much. And so God looked in the wagon, and he said, where did this come from? And so he said, oh, my friend asked me to bring it up the hill for him. And so he said, so God said, well, what if we take out all these things that belong to other people, and we let it go? How about we do that? And he said, we can do that. He said, yes. God said, let other people carry the things that they're supposed to up the hill. That's their assignment. That's not your assignment. They prayed and they were told to bring it up the hill. But they saw somebody that was going on their way. They saw somebody that was on their way to the top. They saw somebody who was in there walking, in their calling, in their anointing, and they didn't hesitate for a second that this might slow you down. Only thing they realized, come on, somebody, that this was going to free them up. This was going to free them up from their burdens. This was going to free their day up. This was going to take, and see, here's the thing. They weren't even looking at it from the standpoint of how this was going to slow him down from his assignment. They didn't look at how much it was going to hurt them, because they wasn't thinking that way. Why am I telling you this? Because not everybody who passes on a burden to you understands that that burden is going to weigh you down. They don't even get it, because the simple fact is, other matters, they were just looking to release and free themselves up. So sometimes it's not about you, because we get this twisted, where we're mad at people. You know what? You can't sometimes be mad at them. You have to be mad at the fact that you said yes when God didn't ask you. We're carrying, listen, we're carrying other people's things. We're in the way of what they're even supposed to be doing, what God told them to do. And we think because we're stronger, we're capable, and we can handle it. And sometimes, our children don't really belong to us. And sometimes God needs them even to go through, so that he can show them a mighty work in them as he showed in you. And let me give my disclaimer real quick. I'm not here to tell you who and what to believe in. I'm just here to tell you that believing in something and having a foundation, a firm foundation of God, whoever calls your God, is going to be the very thing that's going to carry you through this life. Okay? But we get to this place where we're so upset and we're blaming God. We're talking about why we prayed for this and this didn't work out and that didn't happen. Why did he give us so much? Why is this so hard? Why am I struggling? But God didn't even give you that weight. You picked it up along the way. You picked up your friends' burdens. You picked up the burdens of the people on your job. You don't want to go above and beyond. You're going to take on all the projects. All the projects. You're going to take on that extra assignment. All the things. You're going to stay extra. Oh, this person, he's not going to do it right. He's not going to do it this. So you're going to take it on. And I'm not saying that sometimes, we shouldn't do that. I'm going to say in this season, though, what is it that you are supposed to be working on that you can't even get to because you're so busy picking up everything else for everybody else? But let me tell you what happened to the man as God removed the things out of his wagon. And he started because God had to ask him, did I give this to you? He had to realize that God didn't even give that to him. None of that. He started him off with 3 stones up a hill. So he wasn't struggling with God's assignment. He was struggling with what he added to it. You're not struggling with God's assignment. You're struggling with you attitude. He told you to start the business. You're the one who said, I need to go add this dimension, this person, this, there. Oh my God, I can't do that. This is too hard. I can't get to building the business. He didn't even ask you to do that. He didn't ask you to do it. You started listening to all these people who have never built what God has told you to build. He's making you the blueprint and you're going to other people thinking they're going to give you the blueprint. He's already given it to you. But you don't think you're good enough. You don't think you're worthy enough. So now I got to go get all this outside noise and these outside opinions. You keep asking for peace, but your wagon is full. You keep asking for clarity, but your wagon is full. You keep asking for rest, but your wagon is full. You keep asking God for more, and He's looking at everything you refuse to let go of that does not belong to you. I had a revelation. I was in a relationship a while ago, and I was wondering. I'm like, God, why did you pull us? Why did you pull me away? You know what God knew about me? God knew that if that man was going through something, see, I'm not a ride or die. Let's just be very clear about this. I'm not dying. Or no, but I am a rider. Okay, I'm not dying. All right. You talking about going off the cliff? I'm off this bike. I don't do that ride or die, and I am a rider. I ride for my children. I ride for my family. I ride for my grandma. Don't play with my grandma. My grandma about to be 90 years old. I ride. I'm not willing to die for anyone. Okay, but I am a rider. And he knew that every burden that man had, what would I do? I would show up and I would be there and I would help. And it's not that we're not supposed, I want to be very clear. I'm not saying that we're not supposed to help. I'm saying that if it's getting in the way of your assignment, if it's starting to make your assignment that God gave you feel extra heavy, if it's getting in the way, it's slowing you down, you are so busy that you can't even hear the word of the Lord anymore. You are so busy that your vision now has become cloudy. You are so busy doing all these things that he never asked you to do, that now your assignment is getting further and further and further away from you. Mentally, let me break this down for you, because mentally you're carrying thoughts about what other people think of you, what they expect from you, whether you're doing enough. So these are the mental burdens that are in the wagon, okay, that don't belong to you. Because if you're busy worrying about what people think of you, that means you're not moving. That means you're moving carefully with accordance to the way you think they're going to judge you. If you're living with their expectations, with the thoughts of their expectations, then you're not doing what God is expecting of you. You're doing what people have expected of you. If you think you're not enough, baby, because you've made some mistakes, we all do. You think you're not enough because you've chosen wrong, maybe in your career, in your business, and you don't realize that those are not failures, they're lessons. We cannot learn without messing it up. Think about when you went to school and you learned math. Most times we had to get the problem wrong to understand how to get it right. We didn't come in learning, we didn't come in knowing multiplication. We didn't come in knowing division. We had to learn it, and you had to get it wrong before you got it right. I don't care if you were an A student, you had to get some problems wrong to get to that A. Why is it now that we're adults that we don't remember that anymore? We don't remember that we had to learn lessons. So now we think that we're not enough. Emotionally, you're holding on to people who've drained you. Listen, we're holding on to the people who are long left our lives, but they drained us so much. Now we're holding on to the thoughts and the emotions of them, and it won't allow us to move forward because we're so scared that we might run into those same people. Conversations that should have ended relationships that expired a long time ago. You've had some conversation with some people that you knew you should have walked away from, but you're still maintaining the relationship because you're scared of letting go. Because letting go of those friendships and or that relationship or that job will make you feel like a failure, never realizing that maybe it's getting that hard because it is time to let go. And let me make this very, very clear, my married people. I'm not talking, if you are in a marriage, you should, there is no such thing as a perfect marriage. There is always going to be ups and downs and roller coasters and things. And maybe give another disclaimer. I am not talking about mental or physical abuse. I need to be very clear because I realize that we are in the age of the internet and people just don't use their brains enough to know that I would never tell any person that is going through any sort of mental or physical abuse to stay in anything. Never in a million years. What I'm talking about is those relationships that are just on that roller coaster, that 7 year, 5 year, 3 year, 11 year itch. Forgetting why it is that you got married in the first place. Forgetting that two joined together as one. And so you're not fighting against each other. You're fighting against the problem. It should be you two against the problem. And showing up and going to couples counseling. You don't go to therapy because something is wrong. You go because you desire for it to be right. So I want to make it clear that these conversations that that should have ended relationships that has expired, if you're in a marriage, this is not necessarily about you unless if it's gotten to the point where it's so broken down that now you're the only one that's fighting. And even then, go to God before you go to your friends. I'm gonna say that and leave that alone. And so we're talking about the burdens that are in the wagon that are weighing you down, and physically you're exhausted because you're trying to sustain things that were never yours to sustain. I've seen women that's on every single committee. They're in the church, they're on the usher board, they're on this, they're doing that, they're helping this, they're helping there. And I'm going to ask you today, what is the assignment that God has given you? You are so exhausted that you are at that church mean to those people. You are resentful. You're downright a little bit hateful. Why? You're upset because you're not where you want to be, and you're upset. And the whole point of this is God didn't give that to you. That wasn't even your assignment. That wasn't even your assignment. You're not even paying attention to your home anymore. You're not paying attention to your spouse anymore. You're not paying attention to your children anymore because you're so busy trying to earn points with Jesus. That's not what he told you to do. You find me any place in the Bible where God told you to neglect your family for the assignment in the church. You find that and then you come and let me know. It doesn't exist. I've read the Bible from cover to cover. And I'm not saying that I know it all. I'm saying I know enough. And this is why having a personal relationship is so important. So important. He gave you that two shall become one. Are you on one accord? What is the vision for your family? Where are you headed? Even if you're in a relationship, these are things you should be thinking about. However, you shouldn't be so exhausted carrying that person's burdens that you forget your assignment. What is it that God asked you to do? And then spiritually, you're questioning God when He never gave you those burdens in the first place. Now your wagon is full and you're upset with God. Well, who told you? Go back to the original. What was the original message that He gave you? What was the original thing? And this is so important right now because we're just into spring and it's time to refocus. Financially, you've overextended yourself trying to be everything for everybody, trying to take care of your family. Oh, this is a big one because you think that's what love looks like. I'll tell you something that, especially for men, because I found this even with my ex-husband, and he won't mind me sharing this part of the story. I don't share much of his story because it's his to tell. His mom had passed away and she told him to take care of his family. Now, the thing that I know about this, because I'm a mother too, and I tell my sons, if anything ever happened to me, make sure you take care of your sisters. But I gave him I gave him a clarifying statement because I knew it wasn't given to my husband. But it's not at the detriment of you. I would never tell my son, and I know she didn't tell her son this either. Not at the detriment of your family, not at the detriment of your happiness. No, that's not what she meant. That is not what she meant. But sometimes when there's not a clarifier there, you don't know. And so you think you're doing right by taking on all the burdens of your family, but yet you miserable, yet you losing your family, yet you can't have happiness. That is not what a mother's love would do to her son. That is not what a mother's love would do to her daughter, for the daughters that are carrying those burdens too. Because I know for me, if something would have happened to my parents, I know for sure, one thing for certain, two things for sure. Even now that me and my sister and brother are adults, Lord forbid, if something ever happened to my parents, I'm going to step in because it's my personality. However, I know my mother wouldn't tell me to take care of my brother and help with his kids and help with at the detriment of me. That's not what that means. And I know it's hard. I don't know what it's like to lose a parent. I know it's like to lose a child. And so having taken on those responsibilities, I know that you think you're doing the right thing, and to an extent you are. But if it's costing you your peace, if it's costing you your joy, if it's costing you your happiness, if it's burdening you because you think that you're making it lighter for them, you're really not. As a matter of fact, sometimes you may be getting in the way of what God is trying to do for them. And that's just something for you to think about. I'm never here to change your mind. I'm here to open your heart and open your mind to start to ask yourself some questions. And that don't mean that, you just leave them hanging. No, however, you got to let them do what God has given them to do. He has given them the assignment to take their things up the hill, to take their things up the mountain, to meet in that special place with him. But they're not even going to meet in that special place with him because you're so busy carrying it. And it's taking you longer to get to the place that he's even giving you because it's because of what you're doing for them. And I know it's not a bad thing, but it's also not a God thing. So listen, you trust God, but not enough to stop carrying the things he never gave you. Some of you are praying for a breakthrough, but God is waiting for you to put those things down. And I'll be honest with you. Some of what you carry, you picked up because you didn't want to say no, because you felt like it would make you feel selfish. And I get that. But it's not selfish. It is literally, and sometimes I'll say this, sometimes it's okay to be selfish. You need to be. You need to be. You need to get your joy back. You need to get your peace back. And it's okay. And you picked up some of these things because you wanted to be needed, because feeling needed makes you feel loved. And it's not love. It just isn't. That's what's gonna the very thing. And then you're gonna feel like you're gonna feel resentment, you're gonna feel like nobody cares about you. But nobody can care about you because you won't allow them to. You don't even know how to receive. You don't even know how to receive. And you picked it up because you thought that fixing everyone else would make you feel better about yourself. That one right there, when I realized that I was doing that, it slapped me in the face because it made me feel better about who I was as a person. But the truth of the matter, it couldn't fix that hole in my heart. That hole had to be me and Jesus getting in that quiet place, him showing a mirror to me. No matter how many good deeds I did, it wasn't going to fix the things that I needed to sit with him and fix. And so you keep showing up for things God never assigned to you and wonder why you're tired. Is because you can't, just because you can carry it don't mean that you're called to carry it. That's that. And the truth is, God never asked you to carry everything. He would never do that to us. A father that loves you would ask you to break your back like that? Nuh-uh. He asked you to carry what he gave you. But here's the thing. Imagine how life would feel if you only carry what was meant for you, what belonged to you. Imagine your wagon lighter, your mind quieter, your heart at peace, your decisions clear. What God has for you doesn't fit in a life that's full of things he never gave you. And you got to take an honest look at what's in your wagon. You have to ask yourself, what am I carrying that belongs to my children? What am I carrying that really belongs to my husband? What am I carrying that belongs to my partner? What am I carrying that belongs to my friend? What am I carrying that belongs to those people on my job? What am I carrying that belongs to my past? That was only meant to give me a glimpse, but never meant to stay in my present. And to go into my future. Who do I need to release? What old emotion do I need to release? I talked about this last week. If you are a person walking around here talking about, I'm never going to date again, I'm never going to love again, I'm never going to get married again, what you're literally saying is whoever that person was that did that damage to you has so much power over your life that you will never ever step foot into what God has for you because you released what was never for you. And that's all I'm gonna say on that. You can go back and watch that video. You have to ask yourselves, what am I holding on to that God already told me to release? Where He told you to surrender, put your hands up. I got this. It's all the anxiety and the fear and the worry about the things that He was. And I'm telling you, I walked this walk. All the anxiety that I was feeling. God said, open your hands. It don't belong to you. That's not your problem. You can't fix it. You can hold space for somebody. You can be there to love them, but it's not yours to fix. I had to talk to my son about that because I know my son is my baby turned 21 today. I don't even understand. And for his 21st birthday, I am writing him 21 things that I never want him to forget. So whether I'm living or not, he understands that. And one of the things that I'm putting in there, because I want my son's, burdens to be, his yoke to be easy and his burdens to be light, is yes, I want you to be there for your sisters, but not at the detriment of you. Mm-mm. No, 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 no. Absolutely not. I want you to be there for your wife and your children and not at the detriment of you. Okay? So ask yourself, what am I holding on to what God already told you to leave? Where did I say yes? Where am I still continuing to say yes where I need to say no? Okay? And then you have to look at your patterns, right? Where have I said yes in the past, right? Well, I should have said no. Not because I wanted to help, though, but because I was afraid of what they would think of me if I said no. Because a lot of times we don't say no because we're scared that the person might leave us or we're scared of what they might think. If they was going to leave, they're going to leave anyway. If you're going to leave my life because I told you no to one thing, then guess what? You're not really here for me. You're here for what I can do for you. That part. Because you can't receive what God has for you if your hands are full of what doesn't belong to you. Joy comes in the morning. Joy comes in the morning. But you have to let go of those things at night. And freedom doesn't come from doing more. It comes from releasing what's not yours. And sometimes God will remove things and people from your life because you won't put it down. You won't release their burdens. You just carry it on their back. You just put more things in your backpack. I have a woman in my community. She was getting ready to go on a hike up the mountain. And I said, pack light. And she said, oh my God, I was thinking about all the things I could stuff in my bag, books, this, that, and the other. Because sometimes we don't even get to God because we're just stuffing all these things. God is saying, pack light. Pack light on this journey. What I've given you is light. Because God would never try to break us. He's trying to free you. But you can't walk in the freedom if you're dragging. You're dragging people. You're going to come along this ride. Even dragging your children. Stop dragging them. And I want to be clear. I'm talking about adult children. Because some people look like they be out there. I'm not talking about your babies, okay? If they from kindergarten to a senior in high school, it's our job to get them through that high school, okay? My son drove me crazy. Oh, his junior and senior year. Oh, blood of Jesus. That boy drove me nuts. But it's our job then. I'm talking about as they become adults, right? For my people who keep saying you're waiting on God, He's waiting for you to put some things down. The life you're praying for can't fit in a life that's already full. The life that you're praying for can't fit. That man you're praying for, he can't fit. Your life is too full. Where's he gonna fit? That wife that you're praying for, where's she gonna fit? You won't even stop carrying your family stuff. Where's she gonna fit? Where's she gonna fit? That career you want, where's it gonna fit? That business you want, where's because the business gonna ask a lot of you. Business gonna stretch you. There's no balance when you first start a business. How is it gonna fit? It's full. You're full. And for those of you who have been hard on yourself this whole time, I get some of you are so hard on yourself. I know. I have been working on this for years. I'm extremely hard on myself. I'm the oldest girl, middle child. right? Keep carrying pressure, blaming yourself. You should have done it better. You should have figured it out. You shouldn't have chose that person. You shouldn't have chose that man. You shouldn't have chose. Let me tell you something. Sometimes people come into your life because you will not wake up or shake up to the things that you should be healing or work through because you can't see it for yourself. We all have blind spots. Stop beating yourself down for people that you chose. For think it was a lesson. I need you to look at it the same way you looked at it when you went to school. When you messed up that math problem, your mama probably beat your tail if she was eating like mine, like you should not. When they sit down to do, well, when they sit down to do your homework with you, I don't know how many apples. If Johnny had 7 apples and he got rid of 4, I didn't know. Okay, because we had to get it wrong before we got it right. But we learned. Some of us learned to beat our tails. You got your tail beat when you didn't get the answer right. So now we're doing this as adults. You got to put that belt down. You couldn't have known. You don't have a crystal ball. You couldn't have known. Oh, I didn't listen to God. Sometimes we get it wrong. But we got to go give ourselves some grace and some mercy. We had to learn. And you don't have to fix everything today. And stop carrying on that guilt because you got divorced or you're a single mom. Stop carrying all that guilt with them for them kids. You did the best you could with what you knew. And if you knew better and then you started to do better, then give yourself some grace. I had to do that as a mom. I messed up. I was a teen mother. I didn't know what I didn't know. But now, glory be to God, I know better and I step like that. But I didn't know what I didn't know. Stop letting these children hold you to a time when you didn't know better. If you have apologized, if you try to make it right, if you walk in better, then walk in that. Don't let anything or any person tie you to your past. You don't have to keep walking in it. You don't have to keep wallowing in it. The only thing that you can do from this point forward is to try to be better and do better. Apologize if you have an opportunity to. If you don't, then write it in the letter and then burn it. But you can't keep carrying that because it's weighing you down from the assignment that God has given you. If you're not, and let me tell you something right now, pick up that Bible and get into the word. We all make mistakes, but you can't keep holding this. So before you leave this video, I just want you to do something real simple. Okay. I just want you to take a breath with me. Like a real breath. I want you to picture yourself just putting one thing down today. Just one thing this Sunday. Just put down one thing. And people have even turned self-care into, oh, I'm a self-care day. Now that's even become a burden. Because then when you don't do that, you feel guilt about that. You're not in the flow. Just put one thought, one expectation, one responsibility, whether you think the responsibility belongs to you or not. Just put it down today. And let today be a starting point. Because this freedom and joy that you're looking for, this peace, this happiness, it may not come all at once. It's going to come one decision at a time, one moment at a time. Because you're so used to carrying it all, it's not just going to change at a drop of a dime. But you can make a new decision right here, right now, just to put one thing down. And what would your life look like if every single day you just put one thing down? You just closed your laptop at normal business hours. You went for a walk. You got quiet. You read the word, not because of guilt or out of routine, but just because. What if you went and watched something that made you smile a day? Something that made you give you some peace, some happiness. What if you picked up that phone and called somebody that you love today? Not to talk about burdens, but just to laugh and crack jokes. I just did that with my best friend the other day. We're watching this show and it's like, what if you just did that? Just every single day, release one thing. I hope that you do that. I hope that you know that your Father who loves you would never give you something that will break your back. And I want you to know something else. If no one else tells you this today, know that I love you. I appreciate you. I thank you so much for watching this video. I'm going to go celebrate my son's 21st birthday. I hope that you have the most amazing Sunday, and I will talk to you next week. Bye now.